Welcome back to the Skillabration podcast. I have Bill Haase with me today. Bill and I met at a networking event. That's how I know most of my guests through networking, but I always think it's important to share how you meet someone just for the purpose of our listeners to understand a little bit more so the youth can learn about networking and all the benefits of it. But let me introduce Bill. So, Bill is a radio show podcast host for Innovative Strategies. He deals in financial literacy, helping individual business owners and young adults understand how money works and how best to prepare for life personally and professionally. He does public speaking and enjoys two other businesses involving advertising and educating our veterans. So you can see why I wanted to have him as a guest on the show. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, Bill.
Well, you covered it pretty well there. I've been in finance world for over 38 years now, and one thing I learned was I'm in a better place teaching financial literacy than I was trying to educate people on the fly. As a financial advisor, I spent 20 years in the trading pits here in Chicago, and then became a financial advisor, and I learned that everything I was telling people that was good for them for their portfolios, they would just shake their head and go, "Yeah, I get it, I get it, I get it." And it's like, no, you don't. You don't get it. And I couldn't sell products and services to people if they didn't understand what they were getting. So I thought, maybe I should switch this and go out and educate people. It turns out to be a very hot subject right now, globally even. But we do virtual conferences in different parts of the world, and help teach the underprivileged.
Wow, that's amazing. So you said people didn't understand certain aspects when you would explain things to them. Could you go a little deeper on that? What
Sure.
specifically?
So, as an advisor, I would hold meetings, let's say, just introductory meetings, and have people come, whether it's a library or a restaurant or something. Most folks understand that. They get invited to restaurants and whatnot, but people are coming into this meeting going, "How boring is this going to be? How much pain am I going to have to go through talking about something I don't know anything about, and I don't want to know about it? I don't know money. I don't know insurance. I don't know investing." Um, so I try to lighten the load, but the reality is it's true. And if you don't know what espouses, you're not teaching your kids. So we just go on and on and on. We shelter our kids throughout their lives till they get out to college, and it's woo free to do anything I want. But we haven't taught them anything of the basics
Hmm.
in life. And the biggest problem I think most people have in their lives is related to money.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
relationships, health, jobs, businesses, and nobody goes out to try and learn anything about it.
I know. I know. So on that along that line, because this is one of the questions I have for you, what age do you start teaching kids about financial literacy? And then since you're saying if even if the parents don't understand, then then what? Is that why you do what you do?
Well, I target the younger crowd if I can.
Yeah.
It's a great question. What age? But I think it varies for children. To give you an example, tomorrow on my show, I'm having a 14-year-old who's on his third business.
Hmm.
So, and you'd be shocked how sharp this young man is. But as early as possible. I mean, we used to get allowances when we were young. At
Hmm.
least my generation did. And then we'd also have the tooth fairy come in every once in a while around 7 years old. But yeah, that's always that extra money. Nowadays, we're just trying to get tax money back, right, at this time of year. But I think starting as early as possible, and once children can start to understand that money is a tool. A lot of people look at money as a goal, and
Yeah.
it can be a goal, but it's a tool to achieve a goal. Is
What
really how
what
you
does
look
that
at it.
mean, money is a tool? Because I've heard that used before. Tell us what that means exactly.
Well, yeah, you need money to make money. The old saying is, right? So use money to invest in things like when you're younger, things like life insurance is very inexpensive, and most people don't understand that life insurance has a cash value that grows, and that's money that can be used later in life for a
Hmm.
variety of reasons, tax free.
Hmm.
So it's a good benefit, but folks don't understand that. I mean, even investing early. I just got off of a conversation from a woman I met at a networking group, and she was telling me her 25-year-old daughter just bought her first home because when she was 16, she had gone online and taken some financial literacy course and started putting $100 a month away. And even while she was going through college, put $100 a month away. She's 25 years old. She bought a house. She said rent was $2,000. She goes, that didn't make sense. Why don't I just buy a house? Which made more sense.
Hmm.
We could argue about buying a house versus rent is the best financial decision, but typically it's better.
To buy a house rather than
Yes, yes.
they say throw your money away to rent.
Yeah, you do, but you don't pay taxes, you don't have upkeep and all those other expenses, and you aren't, yeah, just over. People never look at the amortization schedule,
Hmm.
which is the schedule that says, well, here's what my loan is, $200,000, but by the time 30 years from now, when I'm done paying it, I've paid $380,000. And it's just like, wait, that's $180,000 I don't have in my pocket anymore.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
when you calculate interest rates right now, you could be paying double what
yeah,
you're actually your house costs. So,
easily. That banks don't give anything away.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And interest rates are very high.
Well,
So,
you think that.
okay, so
Historic,
tell me about that.
Historically, they're very low. So 16 of my years in the trading pits Chicago was in interest rate futures called Eurodollars. And, uh, you know, even when interest rates were at 7% before, I remember distinctly how lowest they've ever been, lowest as they're ever going to go. Get in now. Everybody's doing the refinancing just like we did when rates came down to 2.5, 3%. Everybody refinanced, and now we're all stuck in our homes because we can't leave because we don't want to pay that big interest rate, which
Right.
not
Right.
that much bigger. But so the news doesn't help, the media doesn't help, but
Yeah.
7% is still pretty low.
Compared to
So my parents, I think their first home they paid 17%.
right.
You know,
I
back in
know,
the
because on LinkedIn, I have people in my network either in the mortgage industry, the housing industry, so I'll see them post about what you're saying. Like it could go potentially even higher than what it is right now, or even what it was last year. So
yeah, we could have a long conversation about that.
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about going back to teaching the kids then. Let's say you're talking to a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, because you could start that early talking about financial literacy. What would you say to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old versus like a 10-year-old, a teen to teach them?
Well, it's going to vary with each child, how far along they are in their world and such. But talk basic stuff like, okay, is there something you really really want? And say, okay, we have to save up to get it. Now, how much do you bring in? How much is maybe you're getting $10 a month in allowance, and you want to buy a toy that's $50. Okay, well,
Yeah.
show them it's going to take 5 months to save up to buy
Yeah.
that. Oh, by the way, then there's taxes and everything else, and now it's 6 months, which is kind of a good thing because in that time frame, the kid will probably figure out that I don't really want that anymore. We're guilty of it at any age. I mean, every salesperson in the world knows how to sell on emotion, right? Just go buy a car. It really comes out. I just gotta have that car. It's just perfect for me, and I look so great in it. It's so awesome, but you can't afford it. Yeah, but I'll find a way.
Hmm.
It's like I've experienced this with my own daughter. She called me last fall and just said, "Don't get mad. I have a question for you." And I said, "All right, what?" And I'm in the car dealership. I'm like, "Oh no." And she's like, "Is this a good deal?" And I said, "It's not. It's about a 42% interest rate. So no, they're taking advantage of you. So next one you go into, don't tell them how much you're willing to spend because they'll find just the car for you. And isn't it perfect?" Gave her the whole rundown. Said the manager will come out and tell you it's you look great in it. Isn't it awesome? Don't you want it? And she laughed. She called me up. She goes, "Boy, it was almost verbatim, word for word." But and that's a thing. It's funny. People will go into a store and you have no money, and you can't afford anything, and everything looks great.
Hmm.
But then you get that big paycheck, and you're starting all over the fresh month, and you go in that same store, and nothing looks good anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
patience. We tend to buy on impulse, and then we figure out a few weeks later that's I
Right.
didn't really need that.
Do you think that there's personality types that like is it nature or nurture in terms of savers and spenders? Do you have an opinion on that?
People are different in how they're raised and brought up are
Yeah.
different. My grandparents were penny wise, right? And because they went through the depression back in
Yeah.
1930s. So that generation learned to never spend money. You know, um, you know, uh, our generation, my generation, not your generation. You're a little bit younger than me, I think.
I'm an
And
elder millennial. What are you?
I'm a boomer.
Okay.
I'm a young boomer.
Young
But
boomer.
yeah, it's money's different for everybody, and that's what's important for people to understand. You need to control money and not let money control you. And the simplest way of doing that is just write down on a sheet of paper. This will take you 10 minutes. Write down how much you get paid net
Hmm.
each month. Then what are your fixed costs? Your rent, your mortgage, your car payments, things like that. Then what are your variable costs? Your credit cards, your groceries, utilities, things like that. And then what's left over? Now, what do you want to do with that money? And you can make plans of what to do with that money, and you have to do this every month because the numbers change, and you're finding out if you're doing that now, you're finding out that you have less and less and less money each month.
Hmm.
It's like, why is this happening? Gas prices are going up, food prices are going up, clothing prices, supply lines are having problems, and raising prices. We'll probably see oil going up soon, and so everybody's out there trying to pick your pocket. And if you don't take control of where you stand, where you're at, and what you have to spend, you're going to get hurt
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah. I know that can be a really tough lesson for
It is.
people.
Nobody wants to
Yes.
know that they spend $150 a month at Starbucks.
No.
I don't want to know that.
No.
A lot of folks go, I got pre-approved to buy a house.
No, no. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pre-approved up to $250,000,
Right.
and what's the first house a realtor shows you? $320,000 home. And you fall in love with it,
Yeah.
and then you find out,
Yeah.
well, it's only a couple $100 more a month. We'll figure it out.
Hmm.
That's a couple $100 more a month every
Yeah.
month that you don't have to spend.
Right.
It's well, we'll stay home a couple nights
Yeah.
a month and from dinner or something, and everybody's got to live their own life their own way. It's just that you need to understand how money and the relationship you have personally with money, so you can understand what's going on, because otherwise it's going to cause you all kinds of problems.
So what does that mean, your relationship with money? Because that's a phrase that people might hear, but what is that exactly?
Well, again, we'll go back to, does money control you, or
Yeah.
can you control it?
Right.
It's are you looking to spend money even before you get it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Probably not a good idea. Um, or again, let's look on the other side. Are you looking to just stuff as much in your mattress as you possibly can, and when you pass away, it's like you were the king, you had the most, and it's like, okay, but can't take it with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it goes both ways, and like I said, money affects health, it affects relationships, it affects your
Mhm.
job, it affects your business, because most business owners lie awake at night because they really don't know where the money's at,
Yeah. Right.
because they don't learn.
Right. What does your program look like? Cuz do you have like a program where you work with people to teach them?
Well, so I do it two ways, well, three ways.
Okay.
I do the radio show in helping to sprinkle financial literacy in with how to build a business from concept to success. The public speaking, we have a 10-part series that I talk through and go through, and then I'll do a workshop afterwards if that's asked of me. I don't have a consulting business.
Okay.
I don't want one. Um, that I have too much going on, and that would take too much of my time. But I am going to be writing a series of books that will be coming out on each of the
Awesome.
subjects we talk about, and a lot of that is to do with we want the proceeds to go to wounded warriors and their families,
Oh, nice.
but
Nice.
which is another outlet, which is I'm in discussions with some veterans right now to build a business where we're going to go out and teach veterans all the benefits that are available to them, and we'll teach them financial literacy as well, because as they say in the military, it's like when you're in the military, we know who our enemies are, but when we become civilians, we don't know who they are anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to learn.
Yeah. That's a transition I've heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, all right, so that's great. You have a 14-year-old coming on your show tomorrow, you said.
Yes.
How do people go about coming on your show? How do you find
Um,
guests?
it, well, guess we'll go back to the networking you talked about.
Yeah.
It's I find almost all of my guests through networking,
Hmm.
and I'm on my fourth year now, or coming on my fourth anniversary. So, my lists are pretty long now. Whereas when I was first starting, I was scrambling every week to find
Hmm.
a good guest. And you'll notice you go along, you get higher and higher and higher level guests, and I'm very blessed with that. Um, that's the main way I find it. The show is on, it's called 216, the numbers 216, and then the letters thenet.com.
Hmm.
Then the show's at 10:30 on Friday morning Central Time.
Yeah.
But, and I just have guests on and have great conversation about the areas
Hmm.
that they're an expertise in.
Yeah.
And hopefully, small business owners listen. I shifted over to how to go from concept to success on the show a couple years ago when we had the Great American Walkout, knowing that all these people were going to go home and they were going to put up a sign out their front door and hope everybody was going to bang it down. And then they found out that's not how it works.
Right.
It's a lot harder to start a business than you think.
Yes, absolutely. I've been lucky in my business because I've had platforms to work with. So marketplace platforms or just contracting, independent contracting, and they have a platform that I go on to teach on. But Skillabration right now is using a marketplace, and our goal is to shift or at least have both the marketplace and our own website. So, and having guests like you, with different topics, because I also have a mission. Right now, we're a foreign language school, but our mission
Mm-hmm.
is to teach those real life skills. Foreign language taught me a lot of those real life skills, such as financial literacy. You go study abroad, you need to know how much to spend each day.
Yeah.
You have to deal with different currencies, the different rates of currencies.
Right.
So,
Right.
what's the US dollar compared to the euro or the
Mm-hmm.
Mexican peso? And even you know when you go to order, let's say, like, I lived in Mexico during the summer a couple times. My mom and I went down there and we went to the grocery store, and even getting a pound of beef versus a kilo
Oh, right.
versus
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah.
there's so many different aspects you learn.
You're just holding money out and saying just take whatever it is,
Exactly.
and you're hoping that they're honest people.
I'm
And
like, okay, let's get a kilo of beef. It's like
it's
I don't know what to say, guys, because first of all, I'm learning Spanish. Second of
yeah,
all, I don't know kilo. I don't know the metric.
right. Let's see, it's half a pound of meat per
I
person.
cannot. There wasn't. I didn't have a smartphone back then, so coming up as an elder millennial, born in '83, we AOL came out when I was in high school. America Online came out when
Oh
I was in
yeah,
high school.
you've got mail.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel very lucky to grow up at the time that I did, to have the childhood where we still played outside.
I'm
you
I'm
know.
with I'm with you.
So.
It was great. It's challenging. I mean, even for me to communicate with this young gentleman coming on the show
Hmm.
tomorrow. I met him last September when I was speaking down in Dallas, and he was another guest speaker, and we hit it off. And I said, "You got to come on the show." But we finally got him to get on the show tomorrow, and but it's funny because he texted me this morning. He goes, "Mr. Bill, do you think we should have a conversation before the show?" And I said, "Grayson, I think that would be a lovely idea. Why don't you give me a call? I'm free right now." And he's replying, "Okay, I'll give you a call right now." I'm like, "Okay, just call." But okay. Uh, uh, And he did. We had a conversation, and then I said, dress any way you want. People can watch, but most people listen. And then he texted me about 2 hours later, and he's like, "Can I wear my company hat?" And I said, "Grayson," I said, "you can dress any way you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
But be you." But it's. I'm so looking forward. This would probably be my favorite show in 4 years.
Sure. Yeah. What are his businesses, just out of curiosity?
I can't remember if he started with he had a number business for mailboxes. He moved into a neighborhood. He's a military child.
Hmm.
Moved into a neighborhood. None of the mailboxes had numbers on them. So he went to all the neighbors and said, "Would you like to have numbers on your mailbox?"
Wow.
And made some money. He had a lemonade stand that was a little bit beyond what your typical neighborhood kid's neighborhood stand, lemonade stand. He would have different flavors that you could add to the lemonade for an added cost. Um,
There
you
you
know,
go.
Now he has a window washing business where he had earned enough money from the other businesses to buy $3,000 worth of equipment to do a window washing business, and he hires 16 and 17-year-olds, A, to drive him around so he can get more business, and B, to drive him to the jobs. Um, and I said, "Well, how many employees do you have?" He goes, "So W-2s or 1099s?" I said, "Okay." This kid's way in there. It's just, he was asking me this morning. He's like, "Well, how many people actually listen into your show?" And I said, "Are you sure you want to know that? I don't want to scare this kid." And
And how
he's,
many do listen?
I get about on average about 400,000 a week.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
amazing.
so it's global. So and
Yeah,
there's because there's a lot of interest outside the U.S. and,
of
and the
course.
world is hurting much more than we are here in the U.S.
Yes.
And so people want to learn how to build a business and they want to learn about money. But it didn't scare him at all. He's like, "Oh, I'm stoked."
That's
I'm
amazing.
yeah. That's just a testament to this young man. And I did get to enjoy lunch with his parents down in Dallas, and just solid people all the way around.
Yeah. Tell
So
us a little bit about public speaking. So, if you do want to become a public speaker, how do you go about getting opportunities to speak? Do you have to pay? Do they pay you? Do you negotiate the price if they pay you? How does that all work?
all of the above.
Okay.
You have to be careful. It's a world flooded with people recently. Some you have to pay, and some are worth paying. Some are not. Some want you to do it for free, and those are opportunities to skill up your game and practice. And then the ones that do pay, typically it's good to say, this is what I charge.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be negotiating
Right.
because you're just devaluing yourself if you're lowering the price. But it depends. There's different events, charity events. Maybe I just want to give back. Um, so it varies, but it's a challenging business and it takes a lot of work.
If you're unknown in the public speaking world, how do you go about saying, like, I want to charge, let's say I want to charge 5 to 10,000 for a gig? Is that like outrageous for
It's
being
not.
okay, okay. Even for a
It's not.
new person who's unknown?
Um, you have to prove your value. All
Okay,
right. So typically I charge $5,000,
okay.
and but I've had a radio show for 4 years. I have a book coming out. I've got more validity to me than somebody who might not have those things in their background and experience. I've got 38 years in the financial world. I've got
Hmm.
20 years on Wall Street. It depends what your background is and validity, but it can also just depend on the kind of person you are.
Hmm.
Maybe you're just a great salesperson and just a great speaker, and that's helpful. The subject matter is important too. Everybody tells me
Sure.
that financial literacy. Oh my God, we need this so badly everywhere.
Yes.
Uh, but does it make it easy for me to get speaking gigs?
No.
Nope. Because again, it's a subject nobody knows about. So why talk about it? And it's challenging.
You'll be happy to hear, though, because we work with a lot of homeschool families, and I'm in a lot of homeschool family Facebook groups. You'll be happy to hear that a lot of them are seeking this. So I'm sure your book will be of great value to them. Of course, we're going to put it in the show notes so they have access to your information and your radio show. If they're interested, I would be interested, myself, in listening to your show. Where is your show
Hopefully,
at?
my show. I have two studios here in northeastern Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
so just outside Chicago. I have one in McHenry and one
Oh,
in
okay.
a place Crystal Lake.
I'm in Crystal
Oh.
Lake. Wait, how did we miss this last time?
So, well, because I just did my first show at our new studio in Crystal Lake last week.
Oh, okay.
So, and the studio is under construction, but we've got the equipment over there now. So I'm like, oh, thanks. Now I got another 15 minutes longer drive to get there. But I love being in studio. I could do it from home.
Yeah.
In fact, I will be doing it from home tomorrow just because I have too many meetings
Yeah.
and I don't have the time to get there and back. But which that's a first. But I like being in studio.
But where can people listen, though, to your
People
show?
can listen if they go to www.216thenet.com.
Okay, got it. All right. And your
Yeah.
podcast, is the radio show different from your podcast?
No, they're one and the same.
Okay.
The difference between a radio show and a podcast is typically a radio show is live
Live.
and it's on a radio station.
Yeah.
I'm in talks with iHeartMedia. They're going to take all my shows.
Amazing.
We just have to find the way to transfer them because we're
Okay.
in a little bit of disarray right now with the moving of the studios.
So is the podcast live right now or no? It's going to be
tomorrow morning. It will be live.
Oh, great.
So that's on the radio show. So that's on YouTube, LinkedIn,
Okay.
Facebook, and it'll be live on that, and then it gets replayed about 4 or 5 times at different hours for different parts of the world.
Okay, got it. So you're going to have a series of books. Tell us a little bit about what's in those series. Is it for adults, kids, anybody?
So I really try very hard to keep everything at what I call a street level.
Yep.
Something that everybody can understand. So it's very basic stuff, whether it's nobody understands the credit world.
Mm-hmm.
And I know enough to be dangerous in it. I have a friend who is a master genius at it, who has tried to teach me. But it's crazy. People don't even understand. The credit score you all look at every day, all the time, or once a month you go pull it up. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't.
Why?
Because they take up a different credit score when you buy a home. There's a different one for when you buy a car. There's a different one from where you get credit cards. There's a different one, whether it's the big boy cards and then another one for the small mom and pop shop credit cards and stuff. There's different scores all over the place. People don't realize that when you pay off your home, 30 years later, we used to burn the mortgages and everything.
Yeah.
Your credit score can drop as much as 100 to 150 points instantly because you don't have that debt you're holding on to. People think get a credit card, charge it every month, and pay it off every month. That doesn't work. There's
some hacks to increasing
there's no credit. You're not carrying credit. You're not carrying debt.
Yeah.
If you're paying it off, it's the same thing as cash. So it doesn't count. There's a lot of lessons to learn about the basic stuff in life. And I talked about insurance and understand the value of the cash value of certain insurance policies. When you're young, those policies are inexpensive and they grow at the same rate as the old people buying it. So you really can have a benefit. There's actually a way to be your own bank through using whole life insurance. Yeah. So I know people that have 8 or 9 policies and they use them as a bank.
Yeah.
Because they borrow and they don't have to pay it back because it's their money.
Right.
It's tax free.
Right.
But there's not everything's perfect.
Right.
But and things like budgeting, things like and understanding your budget. Like I said, start with what's your net income for the month. That's what you have to spend. What are all your costs that you know to expect every month? What's left over? What can I do with it? It's like buy another car or whatever you want to take vacations. It's funny because people plan for vacations and they'll plan all year. They won't plan for their retirement ever, but they'll plan for a vacation every year. And I guarantee you, every year they overspend. Every time.
Yeah.
You just can't take in all the expectations of what the costs are going to be.
Right. What are your thoughts on things like IRAs and different types of IRAs? There's the
Good question.
Roth.
Yeah, Roth.
Yeah.
So a Roth money goes in after you've paid taxes on it, comes out tax-free. An IRA money goes in pre-taxed, and you pay taxes after it comes out later on in life. So that's how those work. And then there's 401ks, right? And everybody looks, and I this is where I really get everybody when I say you don't know money. I know you don't know money, and I can ask you simple questions. So you have a 401k? Yes. Okay. Do you know how much is in it? Roughly. I said, okay. Do you know what you're invested in? No, not a clue.
Right.
Do you know how much it's costing you?
Right.
Not a clue. What's the difference between a mutual fund and a time target fund?
Not a clue.
Right.
I've never heard of time target funds.
Well, it's time target. I forget calendar. It's like every 5 years. I forget that they call it right now, but
yeah,
you can choose. Like, say you're going to retire in 2060,
right?
So you can in your 401k plan, you can choose that target date. That's what they call it, target date, 2060. And what it does is it adjusts your investments as you get older, meaning it goes into lower and lower and lower risk, and more into like bonds, and things like that. Not a good idea to do those. It's just a marketing gimmick.
Right. Right.
Mutual funds are kind of a marketing gimmick. They say, oh, but you're safe. Well, wait a minute. Mutual funds are made up of stocks, and all my money's in the mutual fund, so it's all in stocks. And if the market goes down, they all get hurt. A lot of market people, I hate watching the TV shows and all that stuff. But
such as are we talking like CNBC? Like,
yeah, I can't
Bloomberg.
stand listening because I could read between the lines on all of them, and I can't stand the that comes out of it.
So where do you like to listen to anybody or?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
But you're informed, like you're already educated on this. But what if
I've been on the inside, so I do understand it. And that makes a difference. But these folks are bragging about how last year the market was up 22 or 24% or something like that. And I go, why are you bragging about that? Because that was only 7 stocks that got the market to go up like that. All right, so all
like
your
the big 7, are we talking like Apple, Amazon? Microsoft.
The big 7.
Okay.
And I go, why would you brag about that? Because all your clients are sitting there saying, well, wait a minute, how come my portfolio only went up 4, 5, 6%?
But the market did this,
because the rest of the market didn't do well. To put it nicely. And so why would you brag about the market being up that much and then your clients only being up a small amount of that? There's old. That's the hard part about financial advisors. There are some very, very good ones out there, and there are many that are not.
Right.
They're not trained well, and it's not necessarily that they're bad people. They're just the training in the industry is horrendous at best. There's one group that trains well. You put your money in 1970 and you take it out in 1999, inclusive 30 years, you would have averaged 14.84% return. I'm like, no, you didn't. And they're like, well, add up each year what the market did, and then divide by 30, and it comes out to 14.84. I go, that's true. But first of all, nobody ever matches what the market does on an annual basis. And secondly, if you put money in, money is not numbers. Money's different. And you pulled the money out 30 years later, you would have averaged 5.24% return. So it's misleading, and some of the advisors don't even know they're misleading.
Yeah, right.
So it's challenging, and it's one of the things that kind of drove me away from the business.
Yeah, I understand. That's what I was going to ask you about too. Like, how did you transition from Wall Street to Main Street? Because I saw that in your LinkedIn profile.
It took a while. It didn't happen right away. I left the trading pits in 2006, and I didn't get back
before the crash. Which, wow, how did that happen? Was that just luck?
No, because I got crushed anyway. So,
okay.
Because in '05, I built a brand new home, and those people are the ones who got hit the hardest. Uh, but uh,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but I didn't get into financial advising until around 2015
Mhm.
because I didn't like it. When I came out of the training pits, I interviewed with everybody. They all wanted me to go because
Yeah.
I knew the lingo and the language and knew better than most of their advisors anyway. But I got this bad feeling that you just go meet your friends and family and we'll take care of everything. And at first I'm like, well, why do you want me to go to my friends and family first when I don't even know what I'm doing yet? So I'm going to prove to the closest people to me that I don't know what I'm doing yet, and that you're going to take over and sell them whatever. And you don't care if I'm going to last long or not. You just want to get them in. I said, and friends and family, they're going to go around telling everybody I don't know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I said, so I'm not going to them first. Let me get seasoned, and then I'll go to them.
Right.
But it just seemed like they wanted to pick pockets. And so I held off until I got a call from an old friend of mine from the floor and said, look, you got to take a look at this again. And come into this, you'd be good at it. You talk to people, you know the stuff, and it's more about the client nowadays. And it was. And so I did get involved. But then I just got frustrated because of the lack of knowledge and understanding. And it really woke me up to the fact that even I wasn't all that knowledgeable per se about money.
Yeah.
My father always said, he goes, I don't get it. Yet, money doesn't drive you, and yet all you do is money,
Mhm.
business of money in the pits. And
Mhm.
I said, it's true. We settle in cash every day, but I said, it's not. It's the game. It wasn't, about the money. The money was a way to pass judgment or to measure success, which we still use way too much nowadays. Um, one of the biggest problems the middle class really has overeducation. They spend way too much money getting those MBAs and PhDs
Yes.
because the middle class thinks that the higher you are in that world, the more money you'll make.
Not true.
Not
Not
true.
true at all.
And it
I can
costs a lot of money.
attest to this personally.
But it's one of the things that really holds back the middle class.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
big thing because it's very expensive.
Yeah. And even when you talk about budgeting, if you calculate how much am I going to pay for this degree and how much do I need to make per year to make up for paying for this degree?
Right. And how much is out of each month out of my pocket paying those loans back are they? I
Mm,
mean, my kids are both crying right now because they're paying their student loans back and begging for that $10,000 that a certain president had promised everybody. And I'm like, you know, you, the thing is I told my kids, you've got to have skin in the game. And so you have to take out a loan.
yeah,
But the other thing is at that age, what's a kid going to say?
right.
No.
Yeah.
I've got the vision of the shiny new toy in front of me going to college, um, and nothing's going to stop me,
Yeah. Right.
and we have that problem when we, look at cars and look at homes and big ticket items and shiny new toys.
Yeah. Well, even when you say like if the government promises to pay for something, isn't it eventually going to come out of your pocket in some other way through taxes or whatever it may be? I have about the subprime mortgage crisis on here, but do you think something like that could have been avoided?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a shiny new toy.
Okay.
There's a reason. So I think it was maybe back in the early 80s, late 70s. I
Mhm.
don't know who was president at the time, but it come up with why is it we only have 68% home ownership? Why not have more? Because the government wanted those taxes, right?
Mhm.
And that was an easy way to get big taxes. And so they decided, later on to up the game a little bit. And then we got to the point, around 2000 into 2005, and so where we had what was called no doc loans. You would just call up and say, "Yeah, I make $10,000 a month, and I want to buy this $300,000 home." They're like, "Done. It's yours. Take it." They didn't check to see if you even had a job.
It's nuts.
It was crazy. It just and that's what causes big problems. Obviously,
Who does
we
that benefit and who does that hurt?
um, short term it benefits the people who are making the money, right? And
Yeah.
subprime loans are loans for people who otherwise have a poor credit history, and so they'll pay a higher percentage interest. Ironically, that puts them in a more difficult position, but that's
Mm-hmm.
how it worked. And it was thought that we could make money that way, but it didn't work because there's a reason why people have poor credit. They don't pay back. And again, when we tried to take that 68% home ownership up to 72%, that's when things fell apart. And it
Right.
only moved 4%, and we fell apart.
Right.
And those savings of the homes, that the bank said they were doing and the government said they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
were saving 6%, 7, 9% of the homes. They weren't saving even 1%.
Right.
I
Right.
underwrote some of those, and I can tell you they weren't paying. They weren't bailing people out.
So
Um,
the people that are selling these mortgages, like if you're sitting there and somebody's trying to sell this to you, how do you navigate not getting yourself into something like that, or even like
well,
trying to buy?
you're already the wrong kind of person to begin with because you've had a poor credit rating, right? You've had a poor history. So you've bought into this before. You've gotten credit cards and not paid them back, and other things. But so you're already in a wrong mindset. But
So let's say the books that you're creating,
mhm.
are you going to talk about stuff like that, like mindset and
Yes,
okay,
mindset's a very big part of it.
okay.
Mindset is a huge part of it. Mindset's just a huge part of life.
Mm-hmm.
In every category. I had a great conversation with a friend the other day, and he pointed out to me because what I really like about you, Bill, is you live your life with an intent. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I never heard that before. I said, as opposed to what? And he goes, as opposed to default.
Mm-hmm.
So people either live by default, whatever happens, going to happen. Good Lord's going to take care of me, or you can live with intent. You know, move forward with intent. You have a plan. You have a mindset to, a goal that you want to get to, a purpose. Purpose is the biggest thing. Purpose will be in all my books, and it's very, very important even for young people. If you go to say it's time for you to go to college, you're a senior in high school, um, and you have pressure to go to college, but you don't really want to, or maybe you'd rather be in vocational school. Well, how about if you go with the mindset that you're not going to school to come out and be a one person, one truck business? That's how you're going to start. But you already have a plan and a purpose that you're going to get to 3 and 5 and 10 and 20 trucks and grow a business. That's intent. That's living with intent. As opposed to, well, I'll just come out as a one person, one truck business and hope it works.
Yeah,
That's
right.
that's living by default.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, okay, like I want to go back a second because I asked the question like for about the mortgages, the
Hmm.
subprime mortgage crisis. Who does it help? Who does it hurt? When we talk about who it hurts, yes, obviously it hurts the people who had those mortgages, but it went way deeper than that.
Oh, it hurt everybody.
Yeah, it hurt everybody.
It hurt everybody.
Whether you had
It
that
hurt
type
the
of,
banks. It hurt the people who worked in the
yeah,
banks.
yeah,
It hurt the people that were led to believe that they could be homeowners um, when it was kind of already shown that it wasn't. But again, shiny new toy opportunity. People made
yeah,
money. We have more of that today than we've ever had it, where people are trying to make easy money.
yeah.
Whether they're hackers and holding up businesses or we get individually, everybody gets hit every day,
Mhm.
quite
Mhm.
often. It's whether it's the phone calls or you mention about an investment, and I just know of another person who just lost $210,000 to a scam. Um, that
Wow.
he thought he was smart. He said, I only put $1,000 in, but they showing in my account I made like $12,000 in like 3 weeks, so I put another 30
Oh
in.
no.
And it just kept growing
What
and
was
growing and
this
growing.
scam? What was this?
It was a woman who called him through, he was either on WhatsApp or something like that,
Oh my
TikTok,
gosh.
and you got a call from a woman who's claimed to be this great financial advisor, and just give me $1,000, let me show you.
Oh
And it's a
gosh.
fake account. Every time he went in, it was going up, up, up. Now he was the reason why I know this. I know his accountant, and his accountant came to me and said, "How do we tax all this cryptocurrency?" Because he's got $1.4 million in his account. He's trying to take it out, and now they're saying they won't let him take it out until he pays like $300,000 in taxes. And I go, well, are they going to let him pay the 300,000 with the 1.4 he has in his account? And she said, no, they won't let him. And I go, well, then it's a scam. He lost his money. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well,
This
if
is
they're not going to let him,
two different situations.
same guy, same situation.
Okay,
But
same. This is
so
the scam.
he had wound up putting up another 170,000 or so, and 180,000, and this was all in 3 months. Not even 3 months. So he just looked at his account and kept saying, this is crazy. This
His
girl is making a ton of
account.
money in cryptocurrencies, and everybody can believe how. I said, yeah, if you invested in them in the beginning, you might have made that kind of money, but no. Um,
Where was this account held at? Was it a
oh,
well-known
good,
website? Like,
really
cause
good question
yeah.
because the woman told him what wallet to use.
See,
So
that's
she
no.
directed him
Yeah,
to what
no.
wallet to use. So he put the money in that wallet, and that's when he lost control of his money.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a false account, and this
Would
happens a lot. It happens with the Middle East. With I've been susceptible to the same problem I had with some workings with Dubai. I was doing a couple of years ago,
wow.
and there's some very very sharp people out there that are very good at doing this,
Yeah. That
and
is so scary. See, you got to be careful, folks.
people want easy money,
They
and
do.
it's
They do.
and look, it can happen, but trust me, easy money you'll spend faster than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I look at every lottery winner; they're broke within 5 years.
Yeah, see, there's another aspect. If you have money, what do you do with the money?
Not give it away to
Not s-
everybody who asks for it, and not buying $100 million yachts, and
not
yeah,
being frivolous with it
no,
and reinvesting it.
maybe a small jet,
Well,
but yeah.
let's talk about, you brought up crypto. That was on my question list is, you know, there's categories that we've discussed, like, paying bills,
Mhm.
being savvy with a car salesman, renting and mortgages. But what about investing? What about stocks, bonds, crypto? If somebody does have money, they get to the point where they've saved enough to invest, what's next? What do you start with? How do you even, you said it's hard to even trust financial advisors. So,
Well, it's for some. I mean, there's different levels of financial advisors. Look,
yeah.
and my wife was with J.P. Morgan for 30 years, and at the highest level, where their clients were, you had to have like 500 million and up to be a client, but they had different levels all the way down. Very professional, and many banks are like that, and many advising groups are. But do your homework. Um, Go out there and talk to people. But again, we don't talk about money, right? Why- Can I ask you how much you make? My father used to do that. This is my friend Jim. Oh, really? How much does he make? I I go, what difference does it make? Seriously. But we've been taught that
Mm-hmm.
not to talk about money, and there's a reason for that too. But there's a reason to keep as many people dumb about money as possible, and there's powers that are all after that. But what do you do with money? You gotta seek out some help because you can't do it yourself. There are some basic types of investments, and invest for in certain stocks that pay high dividends. So you're getting returns. You can reinvest that, or you can use the dividends as you want. Um, you know, Bonds are always considered a little bit safer. Most of the time, they are. Not always. I don't like CDs and money markets because basically what it does is it takes money out of flow.
Mm,
Meaning, you buy a CD, maybe it's a 12-month CD. You can't touch that money for 12
right.
months, or you
Right.
pay a penalty. So it's out of the game. So now you can't have that for anything, emergency reasons,
Yeah.
whatnot.
Right.
Do I get a 30-year loan? Do I get a 15-year loan? Okay, 15-year loan is going to cost you more per month, but you'll pay it off faster. If you get a 30-year loan and you paid an extra one payment per year,
Mm-hmm.
you're dropping it down to like a 21, 22-year loan.
Mm-hmm.
You even do a little bit more each year and you knock it down even faster.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the opportunity to not have to pay that money if you don't have it available or you need it for something else. So there's just ways of looking at different aspects of investing. Real estate is a good investment. I got a friend out in California. He says, I sell dirt. And he does. He sells dirt out in the desert in California. He front runs where all the solar panels are going,
Oh my gosh.
and it's a 7 to 10 year play, but it has 7 to 10 times return.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Like I want to sell dirt.
it's just so there's a lot of different opportunities out there, and there's good ones and there's bad ones. There's you could invest in somebody who's building a mega complex in, let's say, L.A.,
Hmm.
and get involved, and it's with Marriott and all these other things.
Let
But then
me let me pause and interject for a second. So
yeah.
let's just go back to who to talk to. So you get, let's say, $10,000 in your savings, maybe even 5,000.
Mhm.
Do you start investing at that? What point do you start investing? And then who do you talk to? Do you talk to your local banker? Do you go to a, certain brokerage firm or
I'd start doing research online. Is the easiest way, and you can sign up and open accounts and put the money into the accounts and do the trading yourself. It's very, very common now, especially with younger folks.
yes, yes.
Everybody wants to trade on their own, and that's fine. Just be, uh, look, don't just if you hit it big on one trade because something happened. My son's friend made like, I don't know, seven or $350,000 in a
Wow.
week on a play, and I tried to stop him. He's 3 months later he's broke. But
Because there's emotion involved that people
ooh,
often overlook that part of it, correct?
absolutely. And
So,
all those trading strategies, here, try my trading strategy for options, try mine for futures, try mine for stocks. They all work for that person, but they're not going to work for you, because we have this little thing called human intervention,
hmm
and we think we can do better.
hmm
We're not satisfied. We're not patient with that plan and that play. So we try to tweak it, and we think we can be better, and then we get hurt. But um, take it slow. You know, take it slow. Look, you can go do online banking's paying 4.5% for a savings account. I mean, come on, that's great return. You're protecting your money. However, you're losing money.
how so?
The economy is growing at 8% a year. All right. So if you have $100 last year, 2 years ago, last year it was worth only $92.
hmm hmm
So you need to make the money, at least to try and keep up with the cost of living.
So is there risks though when, let's say, you're going outside of the savings, um, you're investing it instead? Like how are you getting that 8% return versus the 4%? Is
Well,
that
that's
through
the neat trick,
investing?
right? That's the neat trick too,
Yeah.
right? So there's very safe ways to do it,
Yeah.
like through life insurance policy, whole life policies do that.
hmm
Um, uh, Bonds are not going to be quite at 8%, but they're not far from it. You're reducing your losses. Those are just some years where you're just going to lose money,
hmm
and then there's other years where you're going to kill it and do well.
hmm
And every person should understand it's a long-term effect.
Yeah.
You're in it for the long haul,
Yep.
and the way to grow it is by continuing to put money into it, and not taking money out. You can take money out for certain reasons, and you want to take it out to buy a home, take it out to buy a car, pay for college. I mean, that's why you're saving. Go on vacations and things. Like I said, you need to enjoy life. You shouldn't
Yes.
just sit there and hoard as much money as you can, and
Yes. Yes.
because it'll kill you, because it'll
Yes.
never be enough.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
why I say, is money a tool for you, or is it a goal? Because if it's a goal, it'll never be enough.
hmm hmm
But
Absolutely.
it can be a goal, but use it as a tool to achieve a goal.
Right. Um, what are your thoughts on things like Bitcoin and crypto? Would you touch that with a 10-foot pole?
If I had enough money. So you should only really play in markets that have risk with money that you can afford to lose. Number one reason there. Just if you can't afford to lose it, don't play. Don't gamble, right? Don't. It's because you're gonna lose, because the investing world is like a pool of sharks, and if you're bleeding, they'll find you. It's uncanny how a market can just pick you apart, just know exactly where you are and how much pain you're in, and then triple down on that pain. 20 years I went through that. Um, I, I lost well into six figures in 13 seconds, and one play I did. That was very, very
What type of
painful.
play was it? Was it options?
Well, so I was on a desk managing a Japanese brokerage group, and a Japanese kid picked up one of my lines he shouldn't have, and he executed a trade backwards,
Oh.
meaning he bought instead of sold, and the market instantly went into a fast market. This is what we called unemployment Friday, when the unemployment numbers came out, and that affected interest rates more than anything. And it went, I don't know, 25 ticks or so against me instantly, and
Wow.
I was out a little over $700,000
Oh my gosh.
because
That hurts so
those
bad.
errors are your own when you're an independent broker. It's painful, and it gets more painful when your client says, "But it was supposed to be done the other way, and I would have been up $700,000. So now I'm out 1.4 million."
Oh my god.
So it, and fortunately we were able to work all that out.
How did
But
you work all that out?
well, after I got done throwing up in the garbage can behind the pit and came running back and said, it's like, oh God, I'm going to lose my wife, my kids, my home.
Oh.
I'm going to lose everything because I don't have that
Yeah.
kind of money.
Yeah.
And it's true. You just have a gut check, and you're one of two kinds of people. You curl up in a ball, or you say, get a glove, get in the game, let's go,
Yeah.
get it back.
Yeah.
If I had to make that, if I wanted to make that money as a trader trading in the pit, I probably never would have. But when you have to, it's a different game.
And so wait, you did earn it back?
Within 3 days.
Okay. But then when you're going through learning lessons like that, because you talked about people going through these different types of losses and mistakes, scams and things like that, how do you learn from those experiences? You said go slow. Is that a strategy?
Well,
Is that the main thing?
if you don't learn from them, you're never going to learn. You're in
Yeah.
trouble. You're in
Yeah.
trouble for the rest of your life. Yeah, you do learn from the mistakes. But to trying to avoid them, maybe I think
Yes. Yeah.
you're asking
Yes. Yes.
is if it's too good to be true, it is. If somebody tells you that you can give them money and they'll make you a lot of money, probably too good to be true. It never hurts to ask a lot of questions. How do you do that? If they're going to be evasive about it, you know, red flags will come up.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about, go with your gut.
Mm-hmm.
The really interesting thing about your gut is your gut is telling you something that your brain already knows, but just can't get it out yet.
Right.
And so you're having a gut check. Listen to that. Crook, there's no quick fixes.
And this is just strategies for life right here in terms of like the gut check thing, because there's so many situations in life that come up and deep down okay, this isn't right, no matter what it is.
And you still do it anyway.
Yeah, why are we doing that as humans?
We do that because we believe in the end result more than the process.
Yeah.
And so we'll while we're going through the process, we just won't believe that part. I know this is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because the end goal is really to get this amount of money. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody. And
You're
I've
human.
been through it. Yeah,
we're all human.
We are. But the signs are all over, and there's just so many people now trying to rip everybody off. And folks, everybody is trying to take money out of your pocket. Everybody. Just think of it that way, and think of you as the protector. And just ask questions. Don't be worried about if it's a stupid question or not a good question or whatever. It's not.
Yeah.
You really need to go through. Listen to your gut, and you need to ask questions, and you need to be comfortable before you do anything. So
yes,
we always say do business with people you know, like, and trust. But
right.
But even that isn't always good enough.
Exactly. By the way, guys, listeners, we have a special with Bill. So every time that I interview somebody, I have them fill out a form. And one of my questions is there something you want to gift to our Skillabration skill box, which is for members only? And Bill has offered to do a live call with us, which we could do a live Q&A. So I'm super excited that he offered that
Mm.
up. That is so amazing. Time is money. So the fact that
Yeah,
he's gifting that is amazing.
well, it's important because I don't know what everybody's thinking and what they
Yes.
want to know. Everybody's different, what they want to know about a different part of their life or a different time in their life. And like I said, I'm old enough and been around a long time, and I have a great deal of experience that I'm happy to share.
Yeah, we appreciate that so, so much. So we will be getting the details of the date and whatnot in that. So I'll put that in the show notes as well with a link for our Skillabration members only. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you sign up for the members only access. And then you'll get all the details of when we'll have that live call. It'll probably be within a couple months, I imagine, because right now we're filming in February and I don't think our show is even launching until April.
Oh, really?
So we might have this maybe in the late summer or the fall when we do the live call. We'll
Gotcha.
we'll play it by ear. But thank you so much for offering that. Do you have anything else you want to say before we end our call or our podcast show?
I, I hope it wasn't depressing talking
No.
about the negative side of money and things, and I feel like it may be too much on the bad side. Money's a good thing too. You have to have it. You got to pay your bills. You got to enjoy your life, and but don't let it control you.
Yeah.
Get a grip, control it, and I promise you, you will live a happier life. I've proven it. We've gone into businesses and taught financial literacy to employees, and what we've learned is not only are they happier, they're more productive, and they stay longer.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's worth it.
Yes, I don't think it was depressing. I thought it was insightful and interesting. I feel motivated by our chat, so I imagine our listeners do too. It's always great to hear people's stories. So
And
thank
folks,
you.
I'm not a financial advisor anymore. I have no licenses. I sell nothing. This is just free information.
Yes, absolutely.
So
So, all right, well, we'll end it here, Bill. Thank you.
thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it.